Welcome to this webinar here to the launch of the WARA 2.0. My name is Torbjörn Lundahl. I'm working at Ericsson Research, but I'm also responsible for the research arenas within the WASP program. The objective today is to present to you the Research Arenas initiative within the WASP program. We will explain the concept and the arenas as such. We will explain how and why it fits into the overall WASP program. And we will also briefly go through the different initiatives we have. I mean, it will be quite short for each of the area as such, but you will have the contact information on the web page where you can take further contact with each and every one of the presenters here. The main objective is, of course, to inspire you to engage into the engagement, one or several of the engagements we have. And hopefully you will feel very inspired when you heard about the initiatives we do have. I will inform you that this session will be recorded, and also the recording will be available on our website just afterwards. You're also welcome to post any questions you have on the Q&A session, which you will find at the bottom of the screen here. We will maybe answer some of them online here real time. Otherwise, we will post the answers on our websites also, so you can go in and find them afterwards. Also, as I said before, the contact information to all of us presenting here today and to the different initiatives you will find on the WASP homepage then. Now I will try to share the screen as well, which I hopefully do now. We will have first a short opening by Anders Innemann here, overall program director for the WASP. I will continue then to describe a little bit the research arenas, the concept and how it works. And then we will have a short presentation on each and every one of the arenas which we have ongoing. With that short introduction, I will leave the word in now to Anders.
So I put together a few slides just as an overview of the WASP program to provide you with the context for this webinar. And I'm convinced that some of you are very familiar with the program already, but just to recap some of the basic information and the frame that we're working within, you know that we are now in a position where the program has been extended. It's now a 15-year program until 2030, and the total budget is now 5.5 billion Swedish kronor. And as we always say, by far the largest research program ever in the history of Sweden. And the majority of that funding comes from the Knut and Alice Wallenberg Foundation, 4.2 billion out of the 5.5. Now, when we started out the program, the original vision was really based on the insight, which I think is a rather rare insight and commendable insight, is the fact that the best way of promoting the development of Swedish society, Swedish industry, is by making sure that we are funding excellent basic research in strategic domains. And this is the underlying hypothesis behind the whole WASP program. And the mission, the way we are doing that, is to build this platform for academic research, interacting with the leading companies in Sweden to develop this competence and the knowledge for the future. And I think the WARA initiative is really targeting this mission, the collaboration between the academic researchers and researchers in industry. So just a few of the main highlights so far. What has happened in the program is that, as I mentioned, the budget is now extremely high. We're in a good position to have an impact, to be formative in the Swedish academic society in many ways. We have been going through a recruitment process when we've been very successful in recruiting professors, very senior international professors in autonomous systems and software. We have the Wallenberg Chairs program, where we have top talents coming to Sweden to set up new research groups and initiatives. We have our assistant professor program in machine learning and AI, where we now have 20 people recruited so far. The graduate school, and I will mention a little bit more about this in a short while, with approximately 300 PhD students. 100 of those are of the kind that we call in Sweden the industrial PhD student, where we have a commitment from a particular company to co-host a graduate student that is then going through the graduate student program at one of the affiliated universities. And about 40 companies engaged within WASP so far. We have a number of initiatives that have been launched, and I will tell you a little bit more about that. But in the context, we also have the WASP HS initiative, where we are looking at the moral, ethics, legal aspects of AI in depth in the research effort. That's very closely related to WASP, but is still an independent program. And as many of you also know, we have the new initiative on data-driven life science, as a sort of a sister program within the KAW portfolio, and we are foreseeing in-depth collaborations between WASP and DDLS in the future. To add to this portfolio of highlights from the past year, we also have the large resource for machine learning computation, and it's a resource that's placed by the National Supercomputer Center in Linköping, will be inaugurated in just a few weeks, of the order of 300 million Swedish kroners for a dedicated resource for machine learning, and it's an NVIDIA solution, a SuperPod solution that you will probably hear more about eventually. And this is going to be available to the WASP researchers and in general to anyone who's funded by the Wallenberg Foundation. Now, the target numbers that we have is new target numbers for the whole program. Since we've extended the program, we've also upgraded the ambition, and we're now looking at 600 PhDs going through the program, and 150 of those, at least 150, will be industrial PhDs. And the ambition is also to have 80 new research groups, primarily through the recruitment programs that we have. And some of you may also have heard of the NESTS initiative that we just have launched, and I will say a few words about that in a minute. And we are intending to fund 6 of those NESTS initiatives this year. Now, one of the first things that I did as a new director of the program starting last year was to go through a strategy and policy process to define the goals for the future. And the main point in this strategy work was really to develop a number of wanted positions, sort of answering the question, where would Sweden want to be in this domain by the year 2029? And these positions are now included in the strategy document that will be available on our homepage shortly. And as you can see, without going through each of these 9 wanted positions, you can see that several of them are really targeting the exchange of competence, of research questions, of research results between the academic world and relevant industries and companies that want to interact with us. So it's really to promote Sweden's position in this domain by the year 2029. So the main conclusions out of this work that we did was really that many of the instruments that we do have within WASP, the graduate school, the recruitments, the arenas, the communication efforts that we're doing are working really well. There are small minor tweaks and improvements that we will do. But what we also needed to do was really to reinitiate the concept of the research arenas, which is of course the focus of the meeting today. And I should say in very short time, results that are coming out based on this realization that the research arena is really the jewel in the crown that we should put a lot of emphasis on. And I'm very happy to say that there are a number of new initiatives coming out in this domain, and you will hear much about them during the day today. But also one other thing that we felt was important to address was the need to, based on the successes of graduate students, of recruitments, to also form something that would create more cohesion in the research environment. Something that would put strong PIs together and address a common research question, something that really requires a multidisciplinary team. And this is the foundation of what we call the NESTS initiative. And it just closed the call for NESTS last week, and I could announce today that we have 35 excellent applications that were submitted in the response to this call. And we are now going through the reviewing process, which will be solicited by an international reviewing panel to pick 6 of the very best, the strongest constellations of researchers to attack these very hard problems with high potential impact. Another initiative that we also launched, where we are currently going through the reviewing of the proposals, is to build the bridges between the academic world and industry by very small level of funding for that particular little component that's required to bridge the gap that we sometimes perceive between industry and academia. And hopefully we will be able to pick some low-hanging fruits in terms of funding, perhaps research engineering time to actually implement something or to form a bridge between a company and an academic research group. But of course, the main theme of today is the WARA Research Arenas, and you will hear much more about this in all the presentations that are coming up. But it's sort of the Research Arenas 2.0, when we have great success in terms of one of the arenas in the scenario, the public safety arena that you're seeing here on the picture on the right-hand side. But we also have new arenas that are coming out, and 2 different kinds of flavors, perhaps: the scenario-based arenas, but also arenas that are addressing more of a core technology aspect. And we are looking at intersections between the arenas, collaborations between them, but primarily the engagement of senior researchers, both in the academic world and in industry, to join forces together into the research arenas. And this is, as I said, something that has been perceived by, for instance, our International Advisory Board as a unique opportunity that will be very hard to initiate in any other country in the world. But in Sweden, we have this tradition of collaboration, of exchanges, that makes this possible. Now, just to put you a little bit in the context of the WASP structure in itself, we have a new organizational structure, and I just wanted to flash this organizational diagram so that you get a feeling for all the efforts that are going on within the WASP program. And it's a rather comprehensive set of committees and panels that are working with this. And as you can see, what I really wanted to do was to emphasize where the arena, the WARA concept, where it fits into the organization. It's one of the central components in the WASP governance structure, and it's sitting right down here with the arena management group, and where we also put in all of the arenas that you will hear more about today. And the chain of command goes from the WASP board of directors through the program director, through our executive committee, to the arena management group, and then the arenas. And they live in this context of a very, very strong organizational structure to manage this very large scale program. So Torbjörn, I hope that gave you a little bit of an overview of where we are and open up the frame for today's presentations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Anders. And it's a truly impressive program here. Now I shall try to see if I can share my screen here. Hopefully you can see it now. So the mission of the research arenas is really two-way street. I mean, it is to increase value and relevance of research. The foundation is really to support the research within the WASP program. To increase the relevance is really where we hope and think that the industry and the society can inspire the researchers to focus into new research questions and formulation of challenges to be worked upon. And to increase the value is really to try to nurture the feedback, the uptake of research results by industry in different solutions and different products that we do use. We have, as Anders said here, one I can say, we say 2.0 is really that last year we made a thorough review on the strategy, and we have reformulated a little bit the way we approach the arenas. And this is what we've come up with here. where we see there are really two type of categories of arenas. One which is a sort of a basic general technology, the tools that we work upon. So we have software, we have media, we have we have what we call a common, but it's a data center supporting the activities, but also a data center in which we perform research as such. And then we have the other type, the other category is the scenarios where we try to mimic and work on a scenario to accomplish a mission in some way, where we have worked with the public safety, as Anders mentioned, but also now just a couple of weeks back, we approved a new arena driven by ABB around robotics in the factory. The criteria we've set up for an arena is that it should be, as I said, had the foundation in the research. There should be a clear formulation of a research agenda and a challenge. It should have a clear industrial or institutional owner. We should work over the companies and academia, and hopefully also over different companies and over different research groups. We really would like to try to push for collaboration over the normal groups that we are working within today. We should, of course, engage a number of PhDs and or other finance projects. I think what Anders also mentioned, we should see the arenas as really an integrated part in the overall WASP program. This is one of the instruments we have within this investment. We are open to affiliated research. We think we will just get more mileage out of that. That's good. And we should also demonstrate the result. This is to promote the uptake of the industry. I can just briefly say here that we've changed the order. I think when we began, we had the demonstration as a primary goal, and now we've turned it around to say it's really supporting research is a primary goal. Demonstration is the secondary objective in this. We have a number of well-known companies engaged here. We were not allowed to show all the companies, but I can say that we have around 40 companies now, and it's growing fast since we have a couple of new initiatives that was approved late last year and also now beginning this year. And we also have one to come. You will hear about that later. Short about the governance. The WASP board has the overall decision power when it comes to approval of the strategy proposals and the budget for the bridge projects. I will not discuss the bridge projects anymore here today. We do have a management group where we do evaluate and endorse the different proposals, make the proposals to the board. We evolve the concept as such, and also then approve the bridge proposals. And each and every one of the program, they have a project group or a reference group where we go through and follow up the status and the progress of the work. Now you can say, how do you initiate a new arena? We do not, as it is today, have any call for new arenas. We do inspire each of you to take contact with us if you have an idea, and we can work out a proposal together and see if it fits in to the concept and to the strategy we have in the WASP program. With that short introduction then, I will leave it over now to the first program presentation we have here, and that is the public safety. And I just have to see here, so I'm saying yes. Yes, it's a public safety. It will be presented and it's driven by Jesper Tordenli from Saab Combitech. So please, Jesper.
Thank you, Torbjörn and Anders. So we start with public safety. So WARAs, the public safety arena, is the scenario arena, and it's an outdoor arena here. We have the mission is to provide a realistic, large-scale, industrial, relevant demonstration environment with heterogeneous systems of systems collaborate to solve tasks within public safety. So we are in the archipelago of what's happening here? We are. Do I share more? And I want. Sorry.
It looks fine on my screen.
Okay, thank you. So we are out in the archipelago when we do testing here, and this picture in the background is from Västerviks. It's east of Sweden, to provide a realistic scenario containing both water and land, and also an airspace that we can fly drones in. So we have the focus in search and rescue within public safety. It's a wide field, public safety, but placing scenarios around search and rescue introduces unforeseen events and other things that are relevant for autonomous vehicles. So we are, Saab is heading the arena, and we have good company with Ericsson, Axis, and Swedish Sea Rescue Society, Linköping University, and also other universities contributing here. We have also a strong collaboration with SMARC for underwater activities, including KGH students there. Our research focus is sharp in the area of autonomy, where heterogeneous systems and systems also include manned and unmanned vehicles collaborating and allocating functions together. So this is not very usual arenas in the world. So it's quite unique here. And topics of interest is distributed decision making and goal-based planning, for example, and to stress the collaboration between humans and machines. We introduce different examples here, also swarming technology. But to form this autonomy research, we also need topics like positioning and machine vision and analysis. And we try to create realistic scenarios together with the real users, like the Swedish Maritime Administration and MSB and other organizations. And we want to place the small parts in bigger systems to offer realistic research environment. If we look at our activities here, we assist with integrations, and we go out in the field to provide data collections that can benefit research projects. So try to make that available as much as possible. And different times we go out in the field and do field tests and demonstrations together with the research groups. So the pictures here are from research from different students within the research groups. And the picture in the middle is from Västervik. Once a year, we do these inspiring workshops where we do the demonstrations together. So we are waiting for better times when we can summon larger teams together. Do that again. So our resources that are available, it's we have a system where we can collect data and provide different kind of vehicles. You see large boats and autonomous boats, underwater things here. And very unique is that we try to put them together in same scenarios and do research between different domains. So we have experienced engineers from the different companies and involved partners. We used to be about 20 organizations together. And we also try to create a development environment there to be very available for all that want to be part of that. So finally, we started up with search and rescue, but we more also added the navigation scenarios. And this year we will add traffic scenarios where we can provide both an environment with with the controlled and uncontrolled environment. So and also go more international, always with a focus of unforeseen events and collaborating autonomy. So there is a date, 13th to 17th of September at Grense. Keep an eye on that and read more on our web pages and search for WARAs. Thank you.
So thank you, Jesper. It's really inspiring, and as you said, a whole lot of fun and valuable information down to back to the researchers. We continue immediately then with the common data center with Johan Eke from Ericsson.
Thank you. Yes, as Torbjörn presented earlier, WAR Common is intended to be a slightly different research arena. It's intended to support the other research arenas with compute capacity. It has become synonymous with the Ericsson Research Data Center, which you can see on the picture, which is a mid-sized data center that we at Ericsson use for different kinds of research projects and research collaborations. And this is now being made available to WASP researchers. So actually what we offer is two things. We offer a cloud for WASP researchers to use, but the ambition is also to grow this activity to become a lab for data-driven operations. Since we actually own and operate this whole data center, we can collect data and we can work on making this data center more autonomous in the spirit of the WASP research. So I will try to present both of those tracks very briefly here. So the cloud part has been running since 2017 when we started with the cloud course together with Umeå University. It was a WASP course. And over the years, that has grown. And last year, I think we delivered some 34 million CPU hours to WASP researchers. And this cloud environment is slightly different from what is offered from SNCC and Berzelius. This is a cloud environment in the style of Amazon Web Services or Google Cloud or Microsoft Azure. So it's on-demand self-services. It's very nice for long-running services such as if you have an IoT setup or AI service or something that will run for a long period of time. For example, we are supporting WARAs with the processing of images from the autonomous vessels. We're also involved with WARA software to host their development pipelines and the code repositories and so on. And it can be used for any kind of education, research, and industrial collaboration projects. And it's super easy to get started. All you have to do is send an email to the email address you have on the slide here, and we will help you to get started. And we are currently doing some hands-on instructions together with WARA software. Yes, but we are trying to go beyond just being a compute capacity provider. This year, we are going in the direction of a lab for data-driven operations. And the mission here is to make cloud services more reliable and energy efficient by using closed-loop control and AI-based operations. So basically, we are collecting data, we are applying different kinds of AI methods, and then we're trying to steer the data center and the cloud services to become a more reliable and efficient setup. And this is what this is more or less an invitation to the audience here to, if you think this would be interesting, we will be happy to work with you to explore this topic. So we will provide the data from the data center, which is the facilities, everything in the building, the data from the IT hardware, the servers, the switches, the routers, and from the cloud stack. And all those data sources we collect and make available to the research partners. And then we look into different kinds of AI-related research problems according to, like anomaly detection, root cause analysis, efficient workload placement. And there are a number of very interesting AI and autonomy problems to be solved in this. And there are lots of nice industrial applications to make use of this. And I also had a picture with people on. So I had to take the ERDC team here. We're a small team and we are always open. You have the email here and we are eager to get either your workload at the Ericsson Cloud or work with you on the data-driven lab environment. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Johan. Really inspiring. Then we jump over directly to the next one on software. Christoph Reisenball, Lund University.
The goal of the WARA overall is to improve the quality of software in Sweden and overall by helping improve how we do research and education in software technology, and in particular by increasing the practical relevance and the visibility of the research that we do. So this is perhaps our most central activity, but we're also trying to grow community between the WASP students, the researchers, and also the WASP industry to help evolve this and to help us figure out what the actual needs and opportunities are. We are very grateful to Ericsson and to Saab for their strong initial support in this WARA, which is also supported by the Castor Research Center, which has also helped us a fair amount. The activities themselves are driven by Lund University and by KTH, so they're driven by researchers. And on the next slide, I go into the research questions, which we support, and those are largely on the challenge of improving software quality, but also on the challenge of improving the quality of how we develop software, not just the artifact, but also the process. Now, software engineering in Sweden, especially with software engineering processes, is already quite strong, and there are activities from organizations like Sweetsoft or the Software Center that already cover some of these spaces. But if you can go one slide further, there are many other aspects of all this which are on the software technology side that we find to not be as strongly represented as we believe they should be. Software technology is on the tools that software developers use for their day-to-day work. And these tools are essential to making them productive, to helping them deal with all sorts of software engineering challenges and for integrating the software processes. And this software technology, as we see on the next slide, highlighted as in text, is what we are here trying to focus on and to build up as a research arena. Now, we're not trying to completely distance ourselves from other software activities, of course. The goal is to connect to other activities, and we're already involved in that in various ways. But what we're bringing together here are researchers who have worked on various sorts of software tools with the goal of finding bugs automatically before they can make the software crash, of automatically fixing bugs of various sorts, and even making software resilient against bugs or remote attacks by changing it ahead of time. So given all of these different activities that we're trying to support, the resources that we're trying to build also are a bit broader. We are trying to build both community and technology resources for different aspects of our activities. On the community side, we're building up a knowledge base for WASP members so that they can share the knowledge about tools and share the knowledge of their own research and of others' research as it applies to the needs of WASP, but also to help them connect between different organizations. The different WASP organizations all have excellent infrastructure internally, but it is often necessary to find a shared platform for certain activities, and we are trying to help build up in this space also. One more thing that we're doing in the community space is to help students and researchers connect to the WARA Common as part of software engineering activities. So, for instance, setting up continuous integration environments for their own software with the WARA Common is something that we are trying to explain and help with in our knowledge base, but also on the side of evaluating software tools. And here we're getting to the technology side on the right-hand side now, where we are trying to support how we evaluate software tools that we are building and software tools that others have built around the world, and figure out how these software tools help, whether they help and when they help the software engineers that use them in their day-to-day work. So these software tools are supposed to speed up software, to fix bugs, to help software engineers in many different ways, but they don't always do that very well. And our goal is to understand better how and when they do that, so that researchers in WASP can better evaluate whether their tools are effective for these tasks or not. And where they can improve their activities. What we're doing as part of the software evaluation platform is to collect a benchmark suite of open source software that is of importance to the Swedish industry. And this software platform will, of course, grow as new members join us and highlight the open source software that they're interested in and that they are willing to provide us workloads for. And this allows the industry to give us directions and help researchers focus their activities on things that are of interest, not just to the researchers, but also to the Swedish industry. In later phases, we plan to expand this also to interactive software tools in activities like code review or continuous integration. To connect these community and technology pillars, we have two connecting activities. Those are WARA workshops, which we will be organizing the first of very soon, and a WASP software engineering dashboard that highlights recent results and shows the tools that we have developed for access to the wider community. Our WARA is relatively new, so we are still in the process of building them up. But as we can see on the next slide, we have several milestones scheduled in the coming months. In March, we are planning on making that is in a few weeks, we're planning on making the knowledge base available to WASP members at large. On interest, the next release that we have planned is in April for a first version of our dashboard to highlight some of the tools from researchers involved in the WARA. And in late May or June, before the summer break, we are planning to have the first WARA software workshop to bring together researchers, practitioners, students from across Sweden, especially within WASP, to discuss some of the challenges and some of the opportunities in research that are going on. And of course, towards the end of the year, we'll support student research activities where students go and help out companies in software-related tasks as part of the WASP project course. So if you want to contribute to shaping how we do research on software tools and what software tools we need, feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Christoph. And for the sake of time, I think we jump directly over to Jonas here, presenting our newest approved WARA here on robotics from ABB Research.
Thank you very much, Torbjörn. Hope you can hear me well. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jonas Larsson. I work at ABB Corporate Research in Västerås, and I will act as a project manager for the newly created WARA robotics. And this is really very, very new, I want to emphasize. So the scope of this WARA is to do robotics research with the aim to enable future manufacturing, autonomous manufacturing. This presentation is intended to give you ideas of if and how this WARA could be useful for you and your research. First, I would like to start with some remarks on why we think this WARA is a good idea. So to the left, we have some trends and coming and already present industry needs. I would therefore like these are external, let's say, big trends and industry needs. I don't go into those in detail. But to the right, I would like to emphasize just the internal, let's say, use that we intend to have with this WARA. So we think to accelerate the research within WASP and outside, we think this robotics research is a physical game, and it needs physical interaction with the environment. And if not in real, it needs high fidelity simulations. Infrastructure to reduce system integration overhead effort. So there is support. We would like to be able to give support to evaluate certain research with providing a platform to do that. manipulation and mobility research benefits of benchmarking and the same data sets, we think. And last but not least, support students to achieve targets and their research to be relevant. And hopefully ABB can contribute with that. So who is WARA Robotics? Well, it is just approved, but the current, let's say, lineup looks like this. We are about to create this WARA project team, which is the center of events, let's say. And connected to this, we have currently 3 industrial partners. It is ABB, Ericsson, and Algorix, who is providing world-class physics simulation tools. We have on the research side 5 universities and several researchers connected to those. And already now we have many PhD students that we hope to be able to serve and take care of with this WARA. So next. So for the research topics, we gather some generic and broad research topics around 2 crucial steps in the journey towards autonomous manufacturing, and they are kitting and assembly. These are nice and crucial, as I said, steps in future manufacturing, and they also nicely collect a lot of needs in research items. So we have reinforcement learning, automated reasoning, perception, human-robot interaction, and dual arm assembly that we have identified so far. But as I said, it is generic research topics, and if you see yourself related to any one of those, please consider to contact us in this WARA, and we will let's say discuss with you and see if your research would fit. The resources and services of this WARA, I think it is just starting, so please see this as a vision more than a statement of the current state, let's say. But this resource and service would be a hardware part. Where we have an experimental physical space with the possibility to build up different environments, sensors that can produce data when we do experiments, and also several robots, both mobile robots and stationary robots. It's a software part where we intend to be able to provide simulation platforms for robotic systems and environment interaction, and also ROS-based software where we can run the robots and communicate with the different equipment inside there. HR-wise, we will provide support with both hardware and software integration and competence around that. So next steps for this WARA is that the kickoff is planned this Monday, and we will then start forming our staff, let's say, and then the WARA, as I intended it to be, is to be continuously developed and dynamically adapted to the research need. The first demo is planned before end of this year. We are discussing within the team's project course proposals, and you can expect at least one coming from around this WARA. And again, this WARA is open to all within limits of capacity. And if needed, the priority process will be determined in due time. So if you're interested, contact me or any one of the other names you saw on the Who slide. That's all for me. Thank you.
Big thanks, Jonas, for this. Very interesting, very encouraging to see this is coming true now with the robotics. Up next is Johanna now presenting the second latest initiative we have around media. What's really interesting here is that you bring in a number of companies that were really not part of the WASP community from the beginning. So I think you really enrich the community we have. So please, Johanna, tell me what you have planned.
Thank you. Okay, so first I just like to introduce myself for like half a minute. So I'm a researcher at Umeå University, and I work on semantic parsing of multimodal data. And that means that we take video, audio, images, and then we translate that into a compact and unified representation that is easier to process with machine learning. And I have also co-founded 2 companies, CodeMill, which does cloud-based video production tools for movie studios, and Adlead, which does AI-driven contextual programmatic advertising. So that's me personally. And I'll tell you about the WARA Media, which is the second youngest arena. So a colleague of mine commented that in a sense, all companies are now becoming media companies. So this webinar is an obvious example, but we also have process monitoring, online consumer communication, workflow optimization, and so forth. So WARA Media will be a general purpose technology arena. So this means that we view it as a technology that is applicable across the board. We're still working out the details of the vision and mission, but the vision is of course what we're aiming for long term. And there we want to be drivers of the national and international media AI research agenda. So we want to pioneer media AI research. And the mission is how we will accomplish this. So for this sake, we'll build a world-class research community around media AI that cuts across scientific disciplines and industry segments. The management team is myself, and I have good help from Sander at KAW and from Jussi at Spotify. The founding partners of the arena are the WASP universities, together with Spotify, Bonnier, Schibsted, but also ABB and Ericsson, which shows the width of the arena. And we have several interested partners. So media AI is, of course, a very wide field of study. And to give an overview, I divided this into 3 subfields, so to speak. So the first one is generation and analysis. And there we take a very sort of close eye view of the data. So I've already touched upon semantic parsing, that's my home field. But we can also look at language grounding. And that's when you essentially have an image with a caption and you want to connect linguistic entities in the caption to objects appearing in the image. Or media synthesis, when you want to create media objects from a relatively small set of samples. So this can, for instance, be to generate natural human communication behavior from data. So I included some illustrations to jog your imagination. So in the upper left corner, there's a virtual patient, and those are used in the UK to train medics during this pandemic. The middle one is from LKAB's Safe Mine projects. It's an instance of serious gaming, so you train people to behave safely in mines. And the third one is meant to illustrate speech analysis and, for instance, emotion detection. The second field is sensing and control. And here we can look at adaptive sensing. So if we have a camera, how can it adapt to the surrounding situation so that you get an optimal signal? We have embodiment and adjustable autonomy, which is useful for human-robot teams, and also hierarchical classification. The last one is exemplified when you have 8K cameras set out around an environment and you want to do some sort of classification on the video feed, but it's too costly to upload the raw feed to a central server. So instead you do an approximate analysis on the edge or near the edge, and then you either just upload the metadata or snippets of the feed for a closer inspection. And then the final research area is verification and validation. And that means that we want to check that the AI systems that we build are the AI systems that we want. So this is bias management, for instance, which ties in with trustworthy AI and responsible AI. And we also want to look at virtual verification environments. So even if we have these nice test beds, it can be costly and also unsafe to try certain AI systems in practice. And then it might be nicer to run a simulated testing bed or test bed where you can actually try things that would be risky in real life. So the arena provides many different kinds of resources, but the most important one is community building, and that's getting people to know each other. So we want to do that at the level of individuals, so actual people knowing each other's names and what they are working on. And this is done through matchmaking, networking events and webinars, and a Dagstol seminar that I'm arranging. In addition to this, we provide expertise to break down barriers for collaboration. This can, for instance, pertain to legal and IPR support and software engineering. And then finally, we want to offer data services. So this can be curation and creation of data and also annotation with ground truth and benchmarking. And the idea is, of course, to build on top of existing infrastructure. So we set out just before Christmas. We had our first meeting with the steering committee, but we have several activities on the way. So Sander and I are making a virtual tour to interview partners to learn about their needs and goals with participating in the arena. We have an internal kickoff at the end of this month. We have been helping research groups write applications for the Nest call and for bridge projects. And then also we have a webinar series on the way that Sander is arranging. And finally, I'm setting up a Dagstol seminar here in Sweden. So Dagstol-like seminar, which is essentially a high-intensity research seminar that is meant to result in a manifesto for this research field. So many more activities are on the way. So if this is for you, if you want to join, then please connect. Thank you.
Thank you, Johanna. And then last but not least out, Salla Franzén from SEB working on natural language processing. We should say that this is a proposal under work to be presented by the board. So it's not decided yet, but it's really interesting initiative here. Salla.
Hi, everyone. My name is Salla Franzén. In my daily work, I'm the chief data scientist at SEB. But I've also been working on trying to create WARA for natural language processing, which is quite a broad area. There's a lot of different interesting applications. I think from an industry viewpoint, these are typically the things that we think about when we think about natural language processing, things such as speech recognition, some language modeling, digital assistant, sentiment analysis, a lot of the things that Johanna talked about, but maybe with a bit more of a foundational research perspective to it. So we've been working on setting this up for quite some time now. We've been trying to connect with all of the excellent researchers in NLP in Sweden. And we've tried to create a first mission, even if the WARA doesn't exist yet. So one of the mission for this WARA is to really develop a common ground to generate high quality research in NLP with a focus on smaller languages, because one of the challenges that industry participants typically meet is that when it comes to, for instance, the Nordic languages, they are quite small, and getting really good applications using NLP is challenging, because for larger tech companies, the smaller languages are not necessarily the main focus. So we had an initial workshop in February. You can see some of the wonderful people that joined that workshop, and really tried to discuss what the initial sort of focus areas could be for this WARA. So two things that are kind of foundational for any AI research is being able to share data, and also for NLP specifically, creating good benchmarks. Because if we want to be able to help researchers to train NLP models for different purposes, having good benchmarks is quite essential. And then we have three other areas that we're kind of discussing as an initial starting point for the WARA. And so in the first workshop, it was very much sort of a research focus, learning what the researchers are interested in. And now we have a next workshop, which will be held in March 19th, to discuss the research topics that came from the research perspective, but to discuss them from an industry perspective. So this workshop is in planning, and whoever is on this call and is interested in either sort of giving data or coming and joining the research topics that have come up so far, or maybe you have your own idea, you're more than welcome to join. This is very much a joint effort trying to create something good for Sweden. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Salla, and thank you all of you for very condensed and informative presentation here. Now I see I have my video on as well. I thank you all for participating. I hope this has been informative. I hope that you've been inspired now to get in touch with the different program leads here. As I said before, you will find this recording as well as all the contact info, as well as more information about the different initiatives on the WASP homepage. If you have any ideas that you want to discuss outside what was presented today when it comes to sort of a new idea for the research arenas, don't hesitate to contact me directly. We can take up the discussion and see if there's something we can elaborate on together. With that, I will thank all of you for your time here and all of you for presenting the material. And I really hope that a lot of you will be in touch with our different programs going forward. Thank you for today.